The Divine Comedy, Chapter 12. There are waves of us here now, of infinite consciousness, infinite beings, all working together as one. And we will take a deeper dive into the multidimensional aspects of our existence and of ourselves. For we are the one Creator, being fractalized into infinite expressions, infinite possibilities. This is you, and it is time to play a new role. Through this character, you will uncover the complex layers that define you, reality, and your part, opening up your perspective on our multi-dimensional reality. This reality extends far beyond what the five senses can perceive, and each experience will reveal profound truths about not only who you are, but about what you truly are. Your infinite expressions fractalized and created the universe, cosmos, and the planets. Now, however, you have fractalized into the role of a human being. In this part, you have temporarily forgotten who you truly are, what you are, and the unlimited creative powers that define you. It is crucial to remember that this life experience is like a play, a dream, and you are the author of your own script. One of the amazing parts of you is that you can manipulate energy, and as everything is energy, in other words, you are creating your reality now. Have you asked the question, how can our consciousness, our perception, connect with what you call multidimensional beings? Or how do they enter our dimension, our reality, as apparently their frequency vibrates differently to ours? However, could it be that the consciousness of these multidimensional beings, which has always had interaction with our consciousness, and which is a fractal of our higher self and is equivalent to its frequency, is the way the communication occurs? Beyond our five senses is a hidden reality. Within the Divine Comedy, each human being experiences, knowingly or unknowingly, two realities, two perspectives, though many are unaware of this. One is from the ego, the idea the mind has about itself, its beliefs, judgments, thoughts, ideas, and the other is the infinite self-awareness, consciousness, the one who observes and experiences everything, including the two realities. However, the reality perspective from the ego, the idea the mind has about itself, experiences temporarily only one reality, one perception from the illusionary identity. It is said that these two realities, two perspectives, have not always been separated. An example can be given like in nature and in animals, seemingly two realities, seemingly two perspectives. However, they are connected. They form one. These two realities exist at the same time now. However, for many, their sensory perception limits them temporarily to one ego-mind reality. So let's dive deeper into this. Firstly, how do we perceive our reality? Our sensory perception takes in around 2% of all the ranges from 0 point to infinity of absolute reality. You can see from the ego mind's perception, it is very limited. When in the dualistic role, in the identity, the perceptions immediately works on a qualitative scale with all sensory experiences. These sensory perceptions construct your reality, then project it and materialize it in front of you. You may think, how do I materialize this reality outside of me? If you did not have the sense of touch, there would not be a material reality. Because the sense of touch, touching something solid, gives you the type of quality you are interacting with. However, your experience on this quality is depending on your thoughts, feelings, ideas, and beliefs. They can be either positive or negative. Let's play a game and try this. Rub your hand on a surface, any surface, and think of an experience that really made you happy, joyful. Then rub your hand again, this time thinking of something in your experience you deemed negative, harmful, traumatic. You will find the experience of touching and the experience you have all depends on your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and ideas. So, for example, the physical touching will be either rough, let's say sticky, for negative thoughts, or smooth, flowing, soft, for positive thoughts. You try. So, our sensory perception takes in around 2% of all the ranges from 0 point to infinity, absolute reality. Because we only know the 2% or perceive the 2%, we decided that the other 98% is not useful, or it's junk, nothing. This is an assumption that human beings believe as a factual truth. Let's do an analogy. Imagine you're out in the white snow, maybe skiing in the mountains. Then you put on a pair of orange sunglasses. Then you will only perceive orange snow. Then your brain will interact with the order of the orange parts and arrange a pattern that you will perceive. So what is happening? By wearing orange sunglasses, you are imposing a pattern and colour on everything around. People, trees, snow, mountains, you are actually projecting a picture on a background screen. So the screen, let's say, is like a TV screen. And it's the background. It's the absolute that contains all colours. The colour orange now is the world you perceive. So you have projected your perceived reality on a background, a screen of absolute reality, which is all colours. Our senses are unable to perceive absolute reality, the one. They only perceive what we have materialized on the screen. You are materializing this reality that is seemingly outside of you. And how we materialize it is from and through the 2%. In the Divine Comedy, we are all playing our part in the script. We are playing a part and creating the reality we live in through information in the limited 2%. Now, let's look at other dimensional beings in this reality, in this universe. However, their sensory ranges are different from our 2%. If their senses are shifted to a higher percentage in the construction and projection of reality, they will have more perceptual information. Although these beings have their own reality, they are also sharing ours within this seemingly material world. However, they are fully aware the material world, is a creation from us, a perception, and it is illusionary. If we increase our sensory perception from the limited perception of 2%, then we can and do interact with these dimensional beings. And though this sensory perception, glimpses, snapshots of what you truly are is experienced, you become aware that you are also a multi-dimensional being. The Divine Comedy, the multi-dimensional reality. We do not step outside our reality to experience a multi-dimensional one. What actually occurs is our reality is extended. We can shift to other dimensions within this reality. We experience this limited reality, this dimension, from our limited 2% sensory perception. Let's just say other dimensions of this reality are within the 98% that is unperceived. The shift of consciousness into what we could use as an analogy is from the left analytical brain to the right brain. The left brain collective sometimes is called the herd mind, a collective identity. When you combine both left and right brain consciousness, the laws of nature and the laws of the universe also become part of your sensory perception. In the analogy of right brain and left brain sensory perception, even when a human being's sensory perception is left brain consciousness, the right brain consciousness is still accessible. So let's introduce this analogy. We can say one of the aspects of the left brain consciousness is the ability of personification, separating itself from its surroundings, from nature, the universe, others. This is where a human being or humanity begin to think and identify individually and separate, apart from. However, it still has access from the right brain consciousness to other dimensions within this reality. What comes into play in the percentage of the personification the experience of separateness, when this identity ego mind strengthens through thought, beliefs, ideas it has about itself, the doors to the right brain consciousness slowly decrease, even below the 2% sensory perception. Humanity has always been able to perceive other dimensions. Some have had glimpses, snapshots, even from the 2% sensory perception. Historically, many have been able to shift their perception into other dimensions, expanding their sensory perception towards oneness. The Egyptians were such one civilization that achieved this. In the ego mind perception, humans are under an illusionary trap of linear time, as their senses create time and space. This is part of the play, so you can have the human experience. The ego mind creates a linear axis that projects onto the universe and projects into the time, which projects into a pulse, the pulse of creation, the pulse of duality. It's the law of time acting. The pulse of duality is multidimensional, as you are, and it goes into all directions. We are already, as previously said, multidimensional beings connected to a multidimensional reality. We just have to realize this. The pulse I spoke of is within all dimensions. We can define it as like a musical note, a frequency, a vibration in the infinite dimensions in our reality, our universe. So your being, or soul, or consciousness, which is an aspect of the one, the true self, that is in total resonance with all things at all times, in all places, now. Chapter 14. Past, Present, Future, Now. The whole universe is one interactive unity. All things, in all times, in all places, now. You may ask the question, I know how I create my experiences here in this reality. How can I have an experience in the multidimensional reality? In other words, how do I create my reality, my experiences in a multidimensional existence? How? Since time here is fluid and space is fluid. This means past, present, and future are all the same, all here now. Confused? Let's continue. When in the human experience, seemingly you have a beginning, a story of life, memories, photos, interactions, and then an end. Like a script in a book. In this analogy, let's say you take this book and you pull all the pages out randomly, so they are not in order with time and space. Parts of your life script are all mixed up, no longer in chronological order. So, you have your life script, pages in random spaces. Nothing is connected. Your experiences are not in order, whether in time or space. So, you could pick up any random page from your life script and look at it. By doing this, you can be present in any part or moment in your life script, past or present, future. It is all one. So in this analogy, let's say you interact with every page, eventually, of your script, whether it is the future or past. Everything your sensory perception experiences is internally present, which means no matter what page you pick up, the writing, the script, you will experience out of chronological order. However, you may ask this question, well, what about space? As every page of my script has been randomly thrown everywhere and in its own space. You can be part of it the second you pick it up, or should we really say, you think of it. Paradoxal? Yes. Let's continue. So if there are no space boundaries, there cannot be identity boundaries. So you would have multiple experiences of yourself in different times and spaces. Multiple copies of you, the self, everywhere. At present, you are not aware of this. You are only aware of you now, here, experiencing, watching a video, and listening to my voice. Let's expand with another analogy. As there are no identity boundaries when you are experiencing multiple expressions, aspects of you in different times and spaces, copies of you will be slightly different. They are not all the same, or even the same age. Let's say you're reading and acting a different version of you from your script, maybe a different ending to the story. In a multi-dimensional reality, you can act as an individual or collective, as a multi-dimensional being does not experience linear time. The experience is different. Let's continue. You may ask the question, how can my consciousness express itself in this way, multidimensional, as my experience now is on a different level, which contains space and time? To understand this, you need to realize that dimensions have completely different sets of laws. Firstly, let's speak of how do we explain information and understanding from a multi-dimensional level to this dimension of reality with its limited linear mind. When you share information to the linear mind that is beyond the physical, you use the left brain to explain the information. However, As the ego consciousness, left brain, is limited, it cannot understand the totality of the information you're sharing. So, how then are we to access it and share? The law that exists here, like cause and effect, do not exist there. However, what does exist here as well as there is the universal law of everything. Within this universal law, there is the law of resonance, multi-dimensional resonance. So, multi-dimensional resonance exists in other dimensions as well as in our space-time dimension. So one could say an action here would have an effect on another dimension. Quantum entanglement, yes. However, the resonance on the other side would not contain the space-time continuum aspect, as it is illusionary. Multi-dimensional beings are aware of this, as their consciousness, their sensory perception, as previously stated, is in their dimension as well as this one. Past, present, future is not an experience for them, as past, present, future is an illusionary aspect of the limited left brain human mind. Once this is dropped or recognized through experience, we can then ask the question again: how can I access multidimensional information? The answer: multidimensional resonance. The Divine Comedy, Chapter 15. A New Lens of Sensory Perception. In the Divine Comedy, now you can experience a reality you do not have to believe in or conform to, either by social or cultural standards. A reality to experience and know at the deepest level. Our true stories in the Divine Comedy have been hidden and our experiences veiled by the role we have played. An example we can use is the Tree of Life, or the Forbidden Tree of Fruits, the Garden of Eden. Seemingly the same story, however, two polar opposites. The Tree of Life. 2,500 years ago, BCE, in a place you name as Sumer, the first depiction of the Tree of Life bearing fruits was recorded. However, in its depiction, there was a goddess on one side, with the snake behind her. The snake was the symbol and has been defined as the rising Kundalini energy that is within each one of us. Opposite to the goddess, on the other side, was the male god. Both goddess and god are handing out fruit. Those who were ready, this was an action for them, a symbolic action towards what one would call self-inquiry, to know thyself, or to experience enlightenment with the divine within. The fruit of the tree was never forbidden. The fruits of the tree is an analogy to expand and experience different expressions of the self. Let's imagine each fruit of the tree is a life path, each one containing multiple expressions of infinite consciousness, experiencing multiple sensory perceptions and realities, playing seemingly different roles and characters in different times and places within the boundless probabilities of consciousness. In the original story, the feminine force was equal in parts to the masculine force. Let us use an analogy so that we may be able to experience a possibly different creation theory. Together, these two frequencies, masculine and feminine, these energies created this divine comedy, the play of life. Let us continue. The feminine frequency, let's say, is a symbolic connection of the heart, of nature and the universe, including the right brain consciousness. The masculine energy, the frequency, is of the left brain consciousness, which is analytical and factual or systematic and is very much needed to have the human experience. These two frequencies, in balance, connects then to the heart consciousness, the universe, the frequency that is within all human beings. You are the tree of life, or the heart of consciousness. You are the universe. However, written in the script of the Divine Comedy, there is an historical perspective, a point in time, where the tree of life expression was veiled. The ones who veiled this, let's say, were of the left brain consciousness. They veiled this by removing the feminine aspect, the feminine frequency, and by doing so, there was no co-creation of the feminine and the masculine. This now brings into our reality a male god who rules the world, a god who is jealous, violent, and very vengeful. This analogy is an important one to show what happens when you separate the left brain consciousness from the right brain consciousness, and they do not work in harmony, in balance as one. A New Lens of Sensory Perception, Part 2, The Law of Resonance. The law of resonance goes from zero to infinity. When parts are in resonance with others, there is a bi-directional exchange of information, like quantum entanglement. Like when you play a violin and you touch one string, every other string will resonate with it. The violin analogy shows how the law of resonance affects us qualitatively, like musical notes. When the violin plays, we experience sound qualities that affect us, and sound vibrations are repeated, octaves qualities. So let's take this further. These qualities exist in all levels of creation, all levels of nature, the law of resonance. Qualitative information of sensory perception is universal, multidimensional. So it follows all quality aspects, so like physical shape, is created or designed through every angle to resonate with each part of its energy, its frequency. The shape, the object, will then resonate not only with every part of itself, but with us on an emotional, spiritual, or mental level, just as the string on a violin resonated with the other strings, and its frequency through the octaves affected our sensory perception when we listen to it. So geometrical shapes, like the platonic solids, for example, we can now access and resonate and receive the information, just like we can with nature, which has its own codes of resonance within the shapes. Now scientists can detect the frequency and the harmonies and the structure. So now we are looking at the multidimensional language of connection of frequency in the law of resonance. Now we can ask the question, how then does a physical object connect to a higher dimension? The bidirectional resonance is achieved through what is called a vortex. These vortexes connect to all dimensions. An analogy we could use for vortex is an oscillating motion that causes a vacuum within the circle, the center point, the 0 point. And this vacuum draws towards itself in resonance like a whirlpool other harmonious, equal, resonant frequencies. So we have, let's say, invisible dimensions of reality, consciousness. However, every aspect of nature has a multi-dimensional connection to what we could call an archetypal dimension. This is where the blueprint of all shapes, frequencies of language are created. So from this archetypal point of all frequency, these frequencies descend downward and shape each lower dimensional frequency at its level. From a nature point of view or from a human point of view, through spiritual, mental, or emotional levels. So the shape, let's say, human beings have connects to all higher dimensions through the vortices within the human being. There are 7 major ones that we call the chakras. Now the frequency in all the chakras, the vortices, connects to all higher dimensions. So it follows, as a human being is a vessel that contains all higher dimensions, so the law of resonance is you. Subtle energy, life energy frequency, formed into a shape creates you. The Divine Comedy, Chapter 16, Geometric Resonance. Let us now connect to ancient Egypt. The Egyptians were aware of geometric resonance, a communication code. This is achieved by a specific geometric shape or form that is similar to what we would call a transmitter or antenna. These communication codes connected and resonated with different planes of nature. So let's change our frame of reference to understand this theory. The living vibrational world we experience is in total resonance with us and interacting with us, and its interaction is based on how we create the world around us. I am speaking here about energy balancing, resonance, and harmonics, the 3 in 1, where we can experience the entire vibrational spectrum through 3 vibrational qualities that are balancing all living energy systems. The universe's design language of sound and color motion is how the universe creates energetic and vibrational effects, geometric resonance, where things of similar quality or vibrational quality exchange information and energy. Here, we must not forget harmonics, one of the 3. This vibrational exchange, harmonics, takes place at all levels of all existence within all dimensions now. The shape or form that can help us, let's say, connect to the astral plane are of a specific shape, either a hemisphere or a pyramid. The Egyptians were well aware of this interaction with these shapes and their connection with the conscious forms of the universe. They knew how to use this communication. Depicted in many hieroglyphs, you will see a goddess, Neti. In her hand is the Ankh, and it is depicted she's passing the Ankh to the pharaoh. These hieroglyphs are a message to us, not only as a symbol, a code, but to let us know that the Egyptians could and did communicate with the forces of nature. The Egyptians were masters of these communication codes. These codes had qualities that could manifest colours. The shapes they used had to be in a geometric form, as the forms held a certain vibration that connects with higher dimensions of consciousness through harmonics and resonance. So the interaction between the goddess and the pharaoh, when she passes the Ankh, is to symbolize that the Ankh is emitting specific vibrational qualities. You will see in the depiction of many hieroglyphs that these forms are like a carrier wave, a vibration. This vibration emits a vibrational effect on the being that holds it in their hand. There are different types of forms and shapes and objects from ancient Egypt. It has been found, though, that these forms can be located in Europe, even in the Middle East. They use these shape forms for a variety of communication, including effects on consciousness and health. They were aware of the complete spectrum of all the vibrational energies that affect human beings. The Divine Comedy, Chapter 18. The Three in One. We briefly touched upon in the last chapter of the three in one, the three energy balancing qualities. So let us now go into more detail. These three were identified by Dr. Karim. 1. The horizontal wave of negative green. This transmits energy and information. It is called the spiritual carrier wave. 2. Higher harmonic of ultraviolet. This transmits deep energy revitalization, the atmosphere of the angels, and spiritual light. 3. Higher harmonic of gold. Energizes and connects to the ultimate balance, emanation of the plane of divine wisdom. These vibrational energy balancing qualities that Dr. Karim identified, the spiritual traditions like Egyptians were aware of. They send a vibrational wave in a specific direction, and these balancing qualities affect human beings. The three are part of a spectrum of 12 bands of energy. Remember, color is just one way these vibrations manifest. They are more than this, as mentioned in the last chapter. They also are in the scale of sound, the scale of motion, angle, proportion, and shape. We will now look at two here. One of these is the higher harmonic of ultraviolet. It resonates with ultraviolet light and energy. However, it is on a higher harmonic level. The Egyptians were aware that it was equal to or the spiritual light or the atmosphere of the angels. The other one we will speak about is the higher harmonic of gold. Now this frequency is connected to our physical gold. So now you are aware why so many spiritual traditions like the Egyptians use their physical gold. In all of these traditions, they did not perceive gold as a monetary value. They knew it resonated with something on a higher level, on a higher frequency. Also, the higher harmonic of gold energy has an effect on vitalizing the human immune system and is a causation for activating the human field of consciousness. You will be aware that in religious depictions, these gold energies were also used around the heads of the saints, especially Christianity. That's because the higher harmonic of gold energy is also connected to the plane of divine wisdom. Dr. Karim also identified that the vibrational balancing qualities are the same, three in one, unity. These forces manifest in certain ways, and to understand, like the building of structures or any shape or form, you must have an understanding of these vibrational balancing qualities that will give you a shape that has a specific vibrational quality. This changes our perspective now on how energy connects to form. So, how the balancing force does this is by balancing all living energy systems, connecting to the center. Through geometry, space, the balancing force manifests in the center of the circle and in the center between lines. The energy quality the balancing force manifests now is a higher harmonic of gold, divine wisdom, a higher harmonic of ultraviolet, spiritual light, and a horizontal wave of negative green, which is the carrier wave. 3 in 1.